It's November 19th, 2024, and we've got a big weather update for you, starting off over here in the Pacific Ocean where we have a bomb cyclone coming together. And yes, that is the official term. There is something called bombogenesis occurring here where this storm is getting really deep. The low pressure center is getting really deep very fast, and this is going to cause a lot of problems for our folks over here in the western part of the United States, especially in Northern California, Oregon, and Washington. And what's going to happen is essentially something similar to a hurricane is going to kind of pop up right in this region. You can already see the low pressure center starting to swirl and really starting to become visible on satellite. And it's just going to kind of dance off the coast of British Columbia. And it's going to send all of this moisture right here into California and Oregon in the form of an atmospheric river. And then it's going to send hurricane force wind gusts all up and down the coast of Washington, Oregon, and California. Once again, hurricane force wind gusts, we're thinking thousands of people could lose power, and obviously a lot of other problems are going to occur as well. Here's a look at the latest European model, and you can see that bombogenesis happening here. We've got a 944 millibar low pressure center by 6 p.m. today, the Eastern time. Okay, so this is happening today. That deepening of the low pressure center is going to happen very quickly, and this is when those winds are really going to start kicking up, and this is when the atmospheric river or the moisture from the Pacific is really going to start laying into portions of Northern California. Now, it's not just going to happen today. It's going to happen over the course of the next 3 days. But man, look at how it just sits there. It continues to deepen and just send a bunch of moisture into the northwestern portion of the United States. Another low pressure system forms, just adding insult to injury, allowing for that channel of moisture to continue to stream into California here. This is going to be a life-threatening situation for a lot of people that end up right in the highest impact zone. Lots of warnings out there already. Blizzard warnings for the Cascades up here in Washington, winter storm warnings in the pink from California all the way up towards Canada. And you can't see it on here, it's not listed, but for the coast of California, Oregon, and Washington, right in this area, we do have hurricane force wind warnings, which is very rare. We expect there to be a period of time where it's literally going to be a hurricane over here, which is not common in the Northwest. So this is one of the reasons why we believe we're going to have massive power outage problems in portions of the Pacific Northwest, so please be aware of that. All right, so let's watch this thing unfold as we push the European model farther into the future. First of all, we're going to have our own problems in the southeast today. Isolated severe weather is going to be possible from southern Alabama all the way up into Georgia and southern portions of Mississippi as well. But the real action is going to start later this evening in the Pacific Northwest. You can see that first big round of moisture coming into Washington, Oregon, and California, and of course up there into British Columbia as well. Things are going to get really intense, and it's going to kind of happen in waves in Washington and Oregon, but it's going to be very consistent in Northern California. It's not going to stop. This is where we think the biggest impacts are going to be as far as the rainfall goes and the landslides and stuff like that. And that's where the atmospheric river is really going to be most prominent. But look at all that snow and all of the additional rainfall happening in Oregon and Washington as well. It's definitely not going to be a cakewalk up there. And things kind of start to calm down a little bit as we get past Thursday. But even on Saturday and Sunday, we have lingering moisture and lingering snow showers down here in the Sierra. So it's not going to let up anytime soon, but the worst of it is definitely going to be happening from Wednesday into Thursday. That's when we're going to see the heaviest precipitation rates and also the strongest winds. Speaking of heavy precipitation rates, this is how much rain we're expecting along the coast here. Once again, you can see that bullseye in Northern California. Some places are going to see 16 inches of rain. This is, in my opinion, where the biggest problems are going to come from. Landslides and flash flooding are going to be very common here. Although we get atmospheric rivers and we get big rain events a lot in this part of the world, I do want everybody to understand that this is rare. This is a once every 10 to 15 years kind of thing. So make sure you are taking this one seriously. And of course, the Weather Prediction Center for our day 3 outlook, this is on Thursday, does have a high risk of excessive rainfall down here where we expect to see life-threatening widespread flash flooding in northern portions of California. But of course, it's not just the West Coast that we're looking out for. This system up here is going to be causing a blizzard in Canada, and it's also going to be dumping up to 6 to 8 inches of snow and causing intermittent blizzard conditions in North Dakota, Montana, and portions of South Dakota and Minnesota as well. And what's going to happen with this is a huge, sharp cold front is going to dive down into the central portion of the U.S., into the Great Lakes as well. This rapidly strengthening system and kind of unwinding system is going to hand off some energy to a new low pressure system over here in the Great Lakes, and this is going to cause some some snow for the UP of Michigan, down into Wisconsin, and even into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. And yes, this is going to bring some much welcomed rainfall into the Northeast. It's going to be raining sometimes heavily over here on Thursday. And look, a little bit of snow, especially in the higher elevations on the backside as well. This could turn into a more widespread snow system for Pennsylvania and upstate New York as we get into Friday, even in the valleys. And of course, we've got some lake-enhanced snow happening back here on the western side of the slopes of the Appalachian Mountains. So over here where I live in eastern Kentucky, we're expecting some snow, but I think the majority of the snow with this system is going to be reserved for those places up in the higher elevations, especially in West Virginia and western Maryland through Friday. Over a foot of snow is going to be possible for you guys. And then that system's going to get out of here, of course. And looking forward, there is another chance of another storm system forming back here next week, but for the most part, there's nothing crazy other than those two big features. Here's a look at the projected snowfall from the European model. Most of this foot or higher stuff is going to be happening in the higher elevations here. Now, some of it is going to be a little bit more widespread, especially in Pennsylvania and New York here, but even that, a lot of the higher totals are reserved for the Adirondacks and places above 1,000 to 2,000 feet. And look at all this stuff over here. I mean, even all across Ohio and Indiana in the plains, we expect to see maybe an inch or two of snow, but it's important to know that this is just going to fall from the sky. I don't think that there's ever going to be a point in Cincinnati, Ohio, for example, where there's an inch of snow on the ground at one time. It's just going to fall, it'll melt. If it does happen to pile up for you, especially in areas south of Chicago where it's a little bit more likely, enjoy it while it lasts. And then the big thing with this system is it's going to cause some lower temperatures, all right? So we're going to be much below average over here in the Ohio Valley, down into the south and east, and that's going to stick around for a little while. But what's interesting is we think that's going to be cold, right? But you haven't seen anything yet. There's another big blast of cold air potentially coming in late next week that'll come in the form of another big storm system that's going to send 20 to 30 degree below normal temperatures from Oklahoma up into the Rockies and South Dakota there. This is going to probably be our first real shot of like a widespread winter feel across the entire continental U.S. as we go towards Friday, November 29th. And once again, that is going to come along with somewhat of a storm system. It's looking like it's going to be a pretty stormy transition from November to December. It's a little far out right now. We can't say a whole lot about that, but I think we're going to see one of those patterns where we have these big troughs, big storm systems coming through, bringing snow to the north and severe weather to the south. This is going to be common for several days, likely a 2-week period right at the beginning of December. So get ready for that. There's more snow and severe weather coverage on the way. And of course, we can't end this video without plugging our new thing. You can see Y'all Bot right there next to me. The 24/7 channel over on the Ryan Hall Y'all Extra channel is doing great. We've had a couple 100,000 people tune in over the past couple of days, and this thing is just on 24/7, relaying alerts and storm reports and going over the weather. It never goes offline. It's very useful. We're going to be programming it today to talk a little bit more about that West Coast system because it's kind of focused on severe weather right now in the form of, severe thunderstorm warnings and stuff like that. If you want to go check this out, once again, it's a 24/7 severe weather alerts and storm reports relay system that you can access for free at any time over on the Ryan Hall Y'all Extra channel. There's a link in the description for that, and you can subscribe to that channel and also subscribe to this channel, as I will likely be making another video tomorrow discussing any sort of developments that we have for our storm in the west and what's happening further into the future. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.